Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious. Today we're going to be going over a guide to the greenhouse, allowing you to get started harvesting mutations, unlocking new types of crops, and participating in the new content. Before we begin though, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you enjoy the video, make sure to use code RAIL on the Hypixel store, and when picking up Hytail, it really is appreciated. Without any further ado though, let's get started. Starting off, when you enter the garden, the first thing you're going to want to do is likely unlock the greenhouse. In order to do so, you will need to be garden level 7, so make sure you hit that level very quickly after the update if you don't already have it. Once you do though, one of the first visitors that will appear is the carpenter. Once you see the carpenter, you'll be able to fulfill his offer, and he'll hand you a greenhouse blueprint. Once he hands you the blueprint, you'll come over to Sam, you'll hand in the blueprint, and you'll also have to give her a stack of enchanted oak logs, as well as 2 stacks of enchanted sand. Once you do this, you will be able to go to your desk and place down the greenhouse plot, which as you can see, looks like this. Once you enter the greenhouse plot, you'll begin a quick tutorial going over some of the new mechanics, including the ability to water plants, placing them in the greenhouse, and how the fundamentals of mutations work. The TLDR though, is that the greenhouse is a location in which you are able to place down various crops to either get large quantities of that base crop or to specifically make a mutation. If you want to see how any of this information works, you can come over to the carpenter who is stationed inside the greenhouse, and you can see a crop guide as well as a bunch of information about the mutations that you are currently able to unlock. Mutations are basically custom crops that you can get by planting various other crops in a circle or plus shape or any other shape around the crop that you want to mutate. So for example, one of the mutations I'm trying to make right now is the Choco Nut. In order to do that, I need to place 4 cocoa beans in this plus shape, and over a period of real life days, this will be made. As you can see, it's currently about an hour and 27 minutes old, and it will take another 51 minutes for it to move through the first stage. Every single type of base crop, by the way, also has a custom effect associated with it. So as you can see, cocoa beans' big thing is that you don't really need to water them, and also they apply immunity to negative effects. If you want to check out the effects of any particular crop, you can see in the crop guide. Carrots give you more farming XP, for example, potatoes give you immunity, cocoa beans also give you immunity, the melons give you water retaining, cactus gives you improved water retain as well as harvest loss, so on and so forth. You can basically place these in any order you want to try to maximize the positive effects, or maybe even get some negative ones if you want to. The other main thing you'll be doing though is getting all of the different mutations, and it's for a pretty clear reason. The one thing this guide won't be able to do for you is show you every single mutation, because it would take real life weeks in order for me to get every single one of these, and this guide would be out probably way after Christmas or maybe even after the new year. What I can do, however, is link to you a spreadsheet which has every single mutation as well as every single obtainment method for those mutations, allowing you to at least know, hey, here's how I get do not eat shrooms, or here's how I get time stock, or so on and so forth. Once you have a mutation though, you might be wondering, what should you do with it? The answer is the follow-up to Beth's quest. If you've already completed her quest in which you've gotten Jake's plushie and you've interacted with Jake in the lab, all you'll need to do is get Beth to visit you one more time, fulfill her commission, and she'll tell you to go back to the Mushroom Desert. Once you go back to the Mushroom Desert, you're going to head over to Jake's lab. I will show you where it is right now. It's over here in the back part of the Mushroom Desert, inside the caves, inside the glowing mushroom cave. Once you head over here, you can then break this dirt. If I can actually do it, there we go. You'll head down here, there will be a bunch of dialogue. She'll tell you to flip this lever. You'll be back here, and there will be more dialogue, and then you'll be at the crop analyzer. The big thing you can do here is you can hand in any mutation. You'll do a little minigame, in which the minigame is not too bad, and you'll get some amount of copper as a reward. This is actually fairly good for copper, but keep in mind it does cost money to actually analyze things here. So for Iron Man, it doesn't seem like it'll be very profitable, but it could potentially be for non-Iron Man players. The reason why you'll want to do this though is it allows you to unlock all the mutations within this menu, and you'll also get some amount of rewards for doing this. Notably, you'll get a new bioanalysis accessory line, a mutation sack, as well as upgrades to the watering can, crop growth, farming fortune, and Skyblock XP. You'll get an overgrown grass at 10 mutations in total, as well as an upgraded watering can. This will go all the way up to a whole greenhouse skin at tier 5 when you've handed in 30. And if you hand in all 40, you get the final tier of the bioanalysis accessory line. This is very, very useful, I'm going to be honest, especially the crop growth, going to be extremely nice. As you can see, you can also mass analyze if you want to. Another thing that's notable about this, and I'm not able to easily show it because the bazaar is down, but you can't buy any sort of mutations unless you have the ability or have already gotten them before. After you get them, I think you can buy and sell them totally fine. It's not an issue, but you can't trade them and you can't put them on the bazaar unless you've already gotten them before, which is not really like an Iron Man system, but almost like a soft Iron Man system. Also, as you can see, the mutations tend to also drop you a certain amount of base crops as well. I imagine this goes for some of the other rare ones. They might give you some rare items, but regardless, that is the fundamentals of mutations. Another thing to note about the greenhouse specifically is that you are able to go into your garden upgrades, and there are separate greenhouse upgrades for your greenhouse. Notably, you can increase the growth speed of crops within your greenhouse, you can increase the plant yield. All of this, by the way, costs copper and compost, and eventually compost bundles. And finally, you can get an increase to your plot limit. One of the main things about the greenhouse that I haven't yet explained is that you are able to get these items called ethereal vines, which can be used in your greenhouse to unlock additional plant slots. Ethereal vines are going to be kind of rare from what I understand, so if I look up ethereal, you can see that right now they're going for about 18 million coins, but you're able to unlock additional slots. The moment you get one, you're just able to instantly unlock a new specific point in your greenhouse. So for example, I unlocked this one earlier. That is basically how you're going to unlock more plant slots. This will happen over time as you break more crops and more mutations. You'll get more vines, you'll unlock more slots, and eventually you'll be able to unlock the full thing, giving you access to additional greenhouses. Another major aspect of this update are the brand new crops included, the sunflower, the moonflower, and the wild rose. Now the main way you're going to get all of these new crops seems to be through pests. Pests can now spawn of these specific types of crops. These will be the dragonfly, the firefly, and the praying mantis. The best way I found in order to get these new crops is by using jelly. You can spread it on a garden plot with a sprayinator or use it in pest traps, and it allows you to get the praying mantis, dragonfly, and firefly much quicker. You can usually find it by killing off field mice or other similar pests. It will drop every once in a while, and then you'll be able to spray it on a plot, you'll go to town, you'll get a bunch of pests, and then boom, you'll get some sunflowers as well as wild roses. Once you get the sunflowers and wild roses, you can go over to your desk and you can make plots like any other, as you can see, completely normal, nothing special about it, and you can in fact use enchanted variants in order to place down your plot. Once you do this, you can use the new farming tools, which by the way, if you don't already know, you can head over to Skymart, you can head over to farming tools, you can pick up every single tier 1 tool for 250 copper each. But once you do that, and you have these placed and they're already grown, you can run over them and you can break them totally normally. There's nothing special about this process. It unlocks a whole new set of collections for sunflower, moonflower, and also wild rose, and it's basically completely normal. What you might be wondering is, well, this is a sunflower plot and this is a wild rose plot. Where are the moonflowers? Moonflowers you get from sunflowers, but at night. It's really that simple. So if I head over here and I look at my Eclipse hoe right here, and I just start breaking stuff, you can see that the sunflower crop milestone is going up. If I run over to my desk area, and I head over to my garden time, which you should be able to get by handing in a day saver and a night saver, I set it to nighttime, and then I run back over here, and I start breaking the very same crops, you can see that my moonflower collection on the top is the thing that's going up. So that is basically how you interact with this system. Also, there's a bunch of pests here. I want to see if I can actually get a firefly in order to show that off, but it doesn't look like I will, which does kind of suck, but whatever. Regardless, that is how you're going to get the new crops. Specifically, you're going to be looking for sunflower to place down the crop with. That one comes from the dragonfly, and you're also going to be looking for wild roses. Those come from the praying mantises. That is how you're going to get all of these new crops in the game. In terms of farming tools, they have received basically a full revamp alongside this update. The big thing now is that you basically level them up instead of having the counter system. Every farming tool starts off at level 1 or level 0, and you have to level it up manually. When you manually farm, you will level up the hoe. Once it hits level 15, you'll need to upgrade the tier. This works basically the same as the old upgrading tier system. As you can see, here's the Eclipse hoe. It's a bunch of compacted Moonflower and Sunflower, as well as Jacob's tickets, and then boom, I have a tier 2. I'll keep this tier 2 until I get level 30, and then I'll need to upgrade it to tier 3. And once you have a tier 3 hoe, you can bring it all the way to 40, and then you'll need overclockers. Overclockers are a new thing associated with this update that you can get from pretty much anything on the garden. This comes from visitors, from Jacob's contests, from crops, from greenhouse, from pests. Basically, what overclockers do are they allow you to increase the level cap on any farming tool by 1. You're going to need a lot of these in order to max out every single one of your tools, which cap out at level 50. When you get any specific specialized farming tools, so any of the Mark 1, Mark 2, or Mark 3 hoes, you can bring them over to Jeff and he'll allow you to access the brand new chips system. Chips are basically permanent upgrades to your account. Think of them kind of akin to attributes, but a little bit more malleable, and basically they allow you to get some really nice buffs in the garden and also the greenhouse. You get these chips in all different ways, and it does cost a few extra chips in order to level them up. So notably, if I head over to my desk, for example, I go to Skymart and I go to Farming Essentials, you can see there are a few chips here, right? The Solage chip and the Crop Shot chip. I need a total of 20 chips in order to max out the rarity of a specific chip. So as you can see, I need to redeem 3 more crop shots right now in order to upgrade it into epic. I would need another 16 in order to upgrade it into legendary. I've already used 1. That'll be 20 total. Now the crop shot chip is the farming fortune chip, and you might be asking, well, how do you level these up? Well, you level them up with Sowdust. Sowdust is probably the easiest part of this update to understand. It's basically powder, but for farming specifically, and if I go over to any plant in the game and I start manually farming, you can see I just start gaining Sowdust. It's that simple. You also get a ton of it retroactively. I believe it's like half of the normal amount retroactively. You only need, I believe, 250 million in order to max out the new system. I have about 50 million, and I have barely ever farmed. So from my understanding, this isn't really that tough of a system to understand. You're basically getting a ton of Sowdust, you're leveling up your chips, you're getting a bunch more of your chips in order to max out the rarity and the level, and all of these go up, from my understanding, to level 20. There are also quite a few collection items I wanted to go over in this video, starting off with the Sunflower collection. There's the Sunflower head. This is basically a just brand new funny little head item. It's not that special, it's just a few enchanted sunflowers. You can right click it to spread happiness to someone one sparkle at a time. There's also the Sunflower minion. This is our first brand new minion in a while. It's once again nothing too special, just requiring the base sunflower as well as the wooden hoe, going all the way up to compacted sunflower at tier 11, just a relatively normal minion. There's the day switch, which you can place in a sunflower minion to exclusively produce sunflowers. It also increases the speed of your minion by quite a bit. Enchanted sunflowers are required here, as well as enchanted sand and a lever. Going over to sunflower oil in the 5th tier, this one will add fuel to a refuelable machine. For it only requiring 9 enchanted sunflowers, I imagine this one is going to become insanely useful. I'm going to be real. Like, I can craft 50 of these already, as you can see, and I could sell them for quite a bit if I wanted to right now. But 20k fuel for how little effort you have to put into getting these is really nice to see. Moving on to number 6, we have the Sunstone recipe. This allows you to apply the Sunny Reforge to armor, giving you speed and farming wisdom. Moving over to tier 7, we have the Sundial. You can give this item to Sam to permanently unlock crop speed settings in your garden. This costs a bunch of compacted sunflowers, as well as the Chloronite mutation. Now this one is really interesting. Crop speed settings basically allow you to set your speed whenever you're breaking any crop in the game. So if you break something like, I don't know, sugarcane, it'll set your speed to whatever you want it to set your speed to. Same thing for melons, same thing for sunflowers and moonflowers, wild roses, potatoes, pumpkins, everything. It is a really nice item that is going to make farming a lot more enjoyable, and basically makes it so that you are not required to use stuff like rancher boots anymore, which is great to see in my view. Then heading over to the final tier, we have the Sunshine Crystal. This is just an upgrade to the Day Crystal, as you can see. Just a very nice upgrade requiring a ton of compacted sunflowers. I imagine this thing will become a little cheaper with time, but for now it's going to be fairly expensive. Next, we have the Moonflower collection. We start off pretty much the same with the Night Switch, which is basically the Day Switch, but for producing Moonflowers. This one costs a bunch of Enchanted Moonflower, Enchanted End Stone, and a Lever. Moving on to Tier 3, we have the Crow Pet. This is basically a Mage Pet. I'll have the level 100 Legendary variant on screen now. The cost of this recipe is not too bad, just a bunch of Enchanted Moonflowers, as well as a Super Enchanted Egg. I imagine it'll be fairly strong for Mage players. Nice to see this pet included. Moving on to Tier 4, we have Compacted Moonflower recipe. At Tier 5, we have 20k Farming XP. Then we have Moonstone at Tier 6. This one gives you speed and farming wisdom. It's a lunar reforge for your equipment. At Tier 7, we have the Crop Fever Ultimate Enchant. When breaking crops, there is a very small chance to trigger Crop Fever. During Crop Fever, you roll additional crops for 60 seconds with a 15% increased chance of rare drops and 100 farming fortune. This will cost a lot of compacted moonflowers as well as a jukebox. Then we go on to Tier 8. We have the Moonlight Crystal. This is just the Night Crystal, but an upgraded variant of it, basically the same as the Sunshine Crystal. Finally, we have the Wild Rose collection for some more interesting stuff. Notably, we have the Enchanted Wild Rose recipe at Tier 1. Tier 2, we get Thorny Vines, which you can place in a flower minion to exclusively produce wild roses. Same deal here, just Enchanted Wild Roses, Enchanted Cactus, and a Lever. Then we have the Plot Eraser. This is an item I've been really excited about. You can basically use it on a plot, and it will instantly clear it. That's it. It's that simple. So I'll get one right now, and I'll fly over to a plot that I don't have access to yet. I believe I have a few in this direction. So over here, as you can see, it says clean up 0% on my screen. I right-click, and boom. The plot eraser has been consumed, but the mess is gone, and I'm able to go back to my desk and use that plot for whatever I want to. It's absolutely incredible, extremely cheap. I am so excited about that item. Heading back over to the Wild Rose collection, we can see the Compacted Wild Rose at Tier 4. At Tier 5, we have 25k Farming XP. At Tier 6, we have the Rose Water Flask. This is basically something you can consume to grow crops in your greenhouse by several growth stages. You can keep it in your inventory or in your time pocket to increase the bonus up to 6 growth stages, at which point the item will evolve. In order to make it, you're going to need a lot of Compacted Wild Roses, as well as a bottle of Gyre. At Tier 7, we have a Bachelor's Rose. You can gift this to any eligible NPC on a public island to invite them to visit your garden. This is a bunch of Compacted Wild Roses, as well as 64 poppies. Then Tier 8, we have the Prickly Kiss. You need to bring 3,000 of these to Carolyn in Scarleton on the Crimson Isle to permanently gain 5 health and 12 Wild Rose Fortune. Definitely going to be an annoying one to make, but that is the final collection. Notably, alongside this update, there's also an upgrade to the Fermento set called Helianthus. Farming wild roses, sunflowers, and moonflowers have a very small chance of dropping a Helianthus. Now, Helianthus is basically an upgraded set of gear. You can combine it into condensed Helianthus, and you can use it alongside sunflowers, moonflowers, and wild roses, alongside your Fermento gear, to get an upgraded form of that gear, giving you a little bit more farming fortune as well as a lot more bonus pest chance. This goes for all 4 pieces, as you can see here. Just a little bit of a better set. Definitely nice to see. There's also a Helianthus relic, which is the Fermento artifact, upgraded with a bunch of condensed Helianthus. And there we go. And taking a look at the tiered bonus for Helianthus, it just combines the tiered bonuses of wearing melon, crappie, squash, and Fermento armor, granting you farming fortune as well. There's also a new drop from the Praying Mantis, the Manted Claw. This applies the Manted Reforge when combined with armor, giving you bonus pest chance and farming fortune, as well as the Manted bonus, granting you bonus pest chance per pest killed for 10 minutes, capping out at 5 bonus pest chance. It's going to be really nice to see this be put on all of your armor to get a ton of bonus pest chance. Alongside this update, there's also been a ton of other changes. Notably, one of the biggest is that crop milestones have been lowered across the board by about 68%, which is nice to see. Visitor milestones had been basically cut by 1/4, so now they're 1/4 of what they were before. I think it only goes up to 2,500. And if you go over to your composter and you look at your composter upgrades, things should be between 20 and 40% cheaper, depending on whether it was a base drop or something rare. Definitely nice to see all of these numbers come down fairly significantly. The garden will be way better to max. Now, another aspect of this update is that there are a ton of new visitors for you to unlock and earn, but the one I want to go over is Ludleth, who you only get at garden level 15 and after serving 100 unique visitors. This is the NPC that you're going to need if you want to get the Rose Dragon. So once you get them and you fulfill their request, which from what I understand their request is fairly reasonable, you'll need to head over to the hub and head over to the back part of the hub. Once you head over there, you'll be able to speak to Ludleth, who is standing in the back part of the hub once you've fulfilled his request. In order to pick up a Rose Dragon Egg, you'll need to spend 500 million coins, 20,000 copper, 5 condensed helianthus, a glasscorn devourer, all in aloe, phantom leaf, and time stalk mutation. Those mutations are all high end. They will be coming out over the next few weeks. I imagine it will take people at least a month to pick up a Rose Dragon. If you end up getting a Rose Dragon though, here are the perks at level 200. 100 speed, 40 farming fortune, the perk Garden Power, which grants you 3 farming fortune per farming level, Rosy Scales, which grants you 0.15 farming fortune and 0.1 speed per crop milestone, Dragon's Gluttony, which increases the chance to find rare items when breaking crops by 40%, Spiritual Perfection, which gains you 20% more copper from garden visitors and from analyzing mutations, and the perk Symbiosis. If you own a level 200 Rose Dragon, grants plus 3 farming fortune for every other unique maxed farming pet that you own. In terms of smaller details related to this update, if you take a look at the Firefly Bestiary, one of the rare items it can drop is an item called the Fire in a Bottle. This allows you to make a vermin trap, which is an upgraded form of the mouse trap. You can have a maximum capacity of 4 pests, and field mice are 4 times more likely to be caught in this type of trap. It'll cost 200 pests, a fire in a bottle, and a mouse trap. One last thing I wanted to note, the filled rosewater flask is an item you get from keeping the rosewater flask in your inventory for a while, and you can consume it to grant 1 permanent farming fortune. You may consume 5 of these before they lose their magical energy. That is how you get that. There's also a ton of other smaller miscellaneous things in this update. A ton more Skyblock XP for farming. As you can see, it's now 25 levels worth, as well as a few other pieces of Skyblock XP from other locations, notably from Carolyn's exportable crops. Now those give 5 Skyblock XP each from the museum and other various features. Wrapping up here, the greenhouse is definitely an extremely major update, and in my view, it looks incredibly solid. I'm actually excited to hop in and farm, which is something I never thought I'd say. I'm also excited to go over all of the mutations once I end up getting them all on main. I apologize for not having that in a video right now. Down below, I will have all of those resources linked for you so you can go out there and find all of those mutations. I also wanted to say the Skyblock recap will apparently be coming out later this week, so I will be going over that. A ton of information is going to be dropping related to 2026 and Skyblock and how that is going to work. Would love to hear what you guys think about this update down below. I hope my guide was helpful for you, especially if you're new to farming. That's the main goal. I think the overall day-to-day of farming will not change too much, but once again, let me know what you think down below. At the end of the day, though, my name's Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.